more things like better weapons, better tools, better items, better buddies. So if you can, just hold off on S ranking until you're further in the game. Alright, so let's go over the 3 things you need to get an S rank with this strategy. Okay, number 1, time. Time is going to be your best friend when it comes to S ranking because that's where a lot of points actually come from. And if you get decent time, there's very little else you need to actually worry about. So, time. Now time we want to address by really actually knowing the area, which is why I said let's do this post. Because if you do this post game, you're going to have a better idea of your mission area. Now that means you're going to have a better idea of shortcuts, best drop zones, enemy placement, what type of enemies you're going to come across. So most of this information can be found on your iDroid as well, although for the main missions you're only going to be able to see the drop zones at the beginning of the mission, or if you know where the mission is going to drop you in, you can look in the free roam section of your missions list and it shows you all the drop zones everywhere. But enemy locations can be found during the mission and they're indicated with a red transparent circle. Now if the enemies are not moving, they will always be in the center of the circle, but if they are moving, there's a good chance they'll be off center when you go to it, so keep that in mind when you're trying to track enemies. Now an alternative to the iDroid is one of 2 buddies, one being this sniper Quiet and 2 being the dog D-Dog. Now to be honest, I prefer D-Dog over Quiet for enemy detection just because he's a lot more reliable. Quiet can miss enemies, and if she just happens to miss an enemy around a corner or something like that, it could startle you. He could be in a point where you can't shoot his head, you can't take him out, and you wind up by getting a combat alert. With D-Dog, I found that it's a lot less likely to do that because he basically gives you a 70-meter radius of detection. So anything that comes within that 70-meter radius will be picked up by D-Dog. And you can see them through walls, like how I've got these guys and they have the sort of blue glow and the red marker above their head. He will automatically give that to people whether or not he can see them. Okay, so for our next point in the strategy, let's go over combat and weapons. So let's start with weapons. My favourite weapons to use for this strategy are damaging weapons that will one-shot kill or critically wound an enemy regardless of where you shoot them. This just saves time by making it easier to take out single enemies or groups. And the last bit I've got for the combat part of this strategy is turn on reflex mode. I know you're thinking, hang on Kiwi, reflex mode is gonna cut down my score. Yes it is, but reflex mode is really easy to exploit, especially if you have one hit kill or wound weapons like how I explained previously. Because with this now, if I get snapped by a group, it doesn't really matter because I can take an entire group out in the blink of an eye because I don't need to try and line up heads. I can basically shoot them anywhere I want and they'll be taken out of the fight, making easier exit points. That being said, let's move on to our last part of the strategy, which is no combat alerts. Now, easiest way to figure out if you're in a combat alert is if you hear this iconic noise here, that means you're in a combat alert. So as soon as you hear that, this strategy is going to shit. Okay? So avoid all combat alerts, but if you followed everything I've said in the beginning and the middle of this little strategy guide, then combat alerts shouldn't really be an issue. So before I love yous and leave yous, I'm gonna give yous a couple of extra tips. One is if you need reference to weapons that will critically wound an enemy regardless of where you shoot them, look at my sniper rifle. If you want one for the assault rifle. You can look at that, but to be honest, my assault rifle will only critically wound if you shoot unarmored areas. But it's still a good assault rifle anyway. Also, if you're able to do the combat deployment mission for your diamond dogs and send them out to do random missions, for getting rid of riot gear, do it. Riot gear is a real pain in the ass. It has no penetration, so not even lethal weapons with high penetration will be able to get through the armor. There are a couple of effective ways to get rid of them, and that is to hit them with high impact weapons like launchers, hand cannons, shotguns. You can also use throwable explosives, placeable explosives, CQC, your rocket arm, stun grenades, and sleep grenades. Also, for another tip, while we're getting chased by the mist monsters, they will always try and jump directly in front of you, so when they get next to you like this, kind of turn off somewhere. And see how it turned off there? Now they'll be up over that end, and I can keep going this way. Now if I had kept going in the direction I wanted to go, they would have been right there in front of me, which is why I did that again. So that's why you see me kind of going off side to side, because I don't want them to be directly in front of me where I want to be, otherwise they could kill me. So there's another tip. And also, before I go, I'd like to leave you with one more tip, and that is, enjoy yourself, man. Have fun with the game. It's an amazing game. And try something new for the day. Alright. Catch you guys later. I'll leave you guys with some nice music for the last minute or so of the tutorial. See you.
That's the unit that attacked us before. They're giving us real